When this family adopted a baby dog and brought it into their home, they never could have known that their lives would change forever. Of course, the responsibility for a dog is always a big deal, but this dog would prove to be way more than they could handle. It started showing increasingly strange behavior. And when the vet saw him, he immediately called the police. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. In a sleepy suburban neighborhood, there lived a family of three, the Thompsons. This close-knit family comprised of George, a hard-working accountant, his loving wife, Jane, a dedicated teacher, and their precocious 10-year-old daughter, Emma. Despite living a life that seemed almost perfect on the outside, there always seemed to be something missing. Emma yearned for one thing more than anything else: a family pet. She had been persistent in her efforts to persuade her parents to adopt a dog from the local shelter, for she believed that every life deserved a second chance. Her parents, however, were not as enthusiastic about the idea of getting a dog, but they couldn't ignore the sparkle in their little girl's eyes every time she mentioned the possibility of having a furry companion. After weeks of Emma's relentless persuasion, her parents finally relented and they told her that it was okay, so the family made their way to the local animal shelter. As they entered the shelter, they were met with a cacophony of barks and yips and the sight of numerous dogs vying for their attention. They walked past cages filled with many dogs, each one wagging their tails and putting on their best "please adopt me" faces. However, there was one cage that caught Emma's eye. The cage was set apart from the others, and inside was a lonesome puppy curled up in the corner. The shelter director informed the Thompsons that the pup was found in a quarry a few weeks back. So to ensure his safety, the shelter staff decided to keep him separated from the others. Emma's heart ached for the lonely puppy, and she instantly fell in love with him. After a brief discussion between parents, George and Jane agreed to adopt the pup, unable to resist their daughter's pleading eyes. And so, with a sense of anticipation, the puppy, now named Milo, was placed in the backseat of their car, ready to embark on a new life with the Thompson family. Milo's integration into the family was far from smooth. From the moment he set foot in their home, his energy seemed boundless. The overhyped puppy tore up furniture, chewed on shoes, and had an insatiable appetite. Milo's love for his new family was clear, especially when it came to Emma. As the weeks went by, Milo's behavior grew stranger. He would pace around the house, sniffing the air and occasionally letting out a low, guttural growl. George and Jane couldn't help but feel a growing sense of unease around the dog they had brought into their lives. The Thompsons watched as the once lonely puppy transformed into a mystery, a strange creature that defied explanation. As the months passed, Milo continued to grow at an astonishing rate. Within half a year, he had grown to twice the size of a regular dog, and his appetite had become even more voracious. The Thompsons discovered that he had a peculiar fondness for fresh meat, which only added to the mystique surrounding him. Yet Milo's unwavering love and loyalty to his family were undeniable. He would spend hours playing with Emma in the garden, chasing after her and rolling around in the grass, delighting in their mutual happiness. One day, the Thompsons found Milo in the most unexpected of places, perched high up in a tree. They were dumbfounded as to how he had managed to climb so high, and this event served as the catalyst for their decision to investigate Milo's origins further. The Thompsons made an appointment with Dr. Martin, a highly regarded veterinarian in their town, in the hopes that he could shed some light on Milo's situation. Upon entering the practice, they were greeted by the friendly receptionist, who directed them to a small waiting area. As they sat down, Milo, ever the gentle giant, nestled himself by Emma's feet, his loving gaze never leaving her face. Finally, their names were called, and they rose to their feet, making their way to Dr. Martin, a tall man with a warm smile and kind eyes, greeted them cordially, inviting them to sit as he began to examine Milo. He asked them a series of questions about his history, behavior, and growth, jotting down notes as they answered. The Thompsons waited with bated breath, eager to hear the veterinarian's findings. Martin, still perplexed by Milo's case, excused himself to review the information and conduct further research. The Thompsons, left with their thoughts and uncertainties, patiently awaited his return. Dr. Martin burst back into the examination room, his face a mask of urgency, clutching his phone tightly to his ear. The Thompsons looked at him in shock, startled by his sudden reappearance. The veterinarian spoke in hushed tones to the person on the other end of the line, the seriousness of his voice sending a shiver down the family's spines. The Thompsons listened intently, trying to piece together the information from Dr. Martin's side of the conversation. It quickly became apparent that he was speaking to the police, requesting their immediate presence. As Dr. Martin hung up the phone, the tense silence that followed was almost suffocating. He took a deep breath and then gestured for the family to sit down in the chairs. He began to explain his findings, his voice measured but with an undercurrent of trepidation. Procrastinating for a while, the veterinarian finally revealed the shocking truth. Milo was not a dog, but a hyena. The family was stunned, their minds reeling from the revelation. How could their beloved Milo, who had become such an integral part of their lives, be a hyena? Their bond with the gentle creature had grown so strong that the mere thought of losing him was unbearable. When the police arrived, they entered the room cautiously, their apprehension evident. After all, it wasn't every day that they were called to a scene where a hyena awaited them. But Milo, ever the gentle giant, remained calm and friendly, behaving almost like a true domesticated dog. The Thompsons, still reeling from the stunning revelation, tried to process the information. Their lives had taken an unexpected turn, and they were now faced with the daunting prospect of losing their beloved pet. The police officers finally revealed the details of Milo's mysterious past. They explained that he was born in an animal sanctuary over 50 miles away. The sanctuary had reported him lost more than half a year ago, but the hyena pup had never been found. As it turned out, there had been a small hole in the sanctuary's fencing, not nearly large enough for a typical animal to pass through. However, Milo, in his youthful curiosity and playfulness, had managed to squeeze himself under the fencing and ventured out into the unknown. Unintentionally, Milo had wandered far from the sanctuary, traveling for miles and miles before he finally became lost. It was then that the animal patrol discovered him stuck in a hole at the stone quarry outside of town. They had mistaken him for a dog pup, completely unaware of his true identity as a hyena. The situation now presented a difficult dilemma for the Thompson family, the police, and Dr. Martin. Milo had grown too large and potentially dangerous to remain in a suburban area. After much deliberation, it was decided that the best course of action would be to return Milo to the animal sanctuary, where he could live among his own kind. Emma and her parents were heartbroken by this decision, but they understood that it was ultimately for the best. But that wasn't the end of the story. The Thompsons were not content with simply sending Milo back to the sanctuary and leaving it at that. Instead, they devised a plan, so they could still be a part of Milo's life, even if he couldn't be with them in their home. The family made the difficult decision to sell their house, the place they had lived in for the last 10 years. They moved to a new place within walking distance of Milo's sanctuary home. With this new arrangement, Emma and her parents could visit Milo every day. It was the perfect solution to ensure both the safety of the community and the happiness of their family. The Thompsons found a new sense of purpose and joy in their lives. They became actively involved in the sanctuary, volunteering their time and energy to help care for the animals and support the staff. Milo thrived in his new environment, surrounded by his own kind and the family he had come to love, and the Thompsons found a renewed sense of happiness and fulfillment in their lives. The love and dedication they had for their unique pet transcended the boundaries of species, proving that family could be found in the most unexpected places. And so, their story was one of love, loyalty, and the unbreakable bond between a family and their extraordinary hyena friend. In a world full of uncertainties, they found solace and happiness in each other and in their shared purpose of caring for the animals at the sanctuary. Together, they had turned a seemingly impossible situation into a beautiful and heartwarming tale of love and perseverance.